I fell in love with Nicholas, the alpha of our pack. When I learned he'd been cursed by ancient dark magic, I made a choice I shouldn't have. A month later, I found out I was pregnant. As an alpha, Nicholas needed an heir. The Council of Elders forced him to hold a marking ceremony with me. On the day of the ceremony, Leah couldn't accept it. She ran from pack territory. Rogue wolves attacked her. Before she died, Leah sent Nicholas 99 distress signals through the mind link. But Nicholas was in the middle of the marking ceremony, at my request, and never answered. Not once. Afterward, when the pack brought back what was left of Leah's body, his face remained eerily calm. But on the night of our pup's first full moon, he poisoned me with wolf's bane. Before I died, I heard his voice, cold as ice.
If you hadn't gotten pregnant, I wouldn't have been forced to mark you. I wouldn't have missed Leah's call for help. Her death is on you, and you're gonna pay for it.
When I opened my eyes again, I was back on the night Nicholas fell victim to the curse. After being king reborn, I had no time to adjust. The moment I regained consciousness, I heard a low, raggled scoff coming from the master bedroom. Then, in my past life, when I heard him call my name like that, I opened the door almost on instinct. But this time, I didn't hesitate. I stood in the hallway. I didn't go to the master bedroom. And instead, I turned and picked up the intercom on the wall. Leah, the alpha needs you. Come now. After I hung up, I walked to the door of the master bedroom. Inside, I heard something heavy slam into the bedpost. His breathing was erratic. I didn't go any closer. I just spoke through the door. She'll be here in 10 minutes. For a moment, everything inside went still. Then came another low, shuddering breath, like he was forcing something down. I didn't wait for a response. I stepped back to the other side of the hall. A few minutes later, the sharp click of Leah's heels echoed down the stone corridor. She stopped in front of me as they swept over me from head to toe. When she saw I was fully dressed, with no sign of being marked, her tense shoulders relaxed just slightly. Before she opened the door, she glanced at me. Her voice was smug.
Go rest, Alice. I'll take it from here.
I turned and left without a word, heading back to my room in the West Tower. It wasn't until 3 a.m. that the sounds from the master bedroom finally died down. I sat by the window, staring out at the moonlit forest beyond the castle. In my past life, I loved Nicholas too much. This time I won't make the same mistake. I'm leaving. I'm done being a prisoner in this castle. The next day at noon, the butler knocked on my door.
Miss Alice, the Alpha is asking for you in the master bedroom.
The door was half opened when I arrived. Leah was sitting on the edge of the bed. Nicholas stood by the window, his back to me. Leah looked up, her expression casual. Too casual.
Alice, the Alpha mentioned you know healing.
As she spoke, her fingers light pressed against the side of her neck. There was a faint red mark there, still fresh.
I'm a little sore from last night. Can you take a look and tell me if it needs treatment?
The room was silent. Nicholas didn't turn around. He didn't stop her either. I stepped closer, letting my gaze languish on her neck for only a second before I looked away. It didn't need treatment. She knew that. She just wanted to show off. I answered calmly. No risk of infection, just rest. Leah blinked, caught off guard. Nicholas's brow fronted slightly. This wasn't how I used to act. The old me would have snapped at her by now. I bowed politely, made an excuse, and left. Half an hour later, I was sorting herbs in my room when the door opened. Nicholas walked in without waiting for permission. He'd changed into casual clothes. Those eyes I used to adore now looked at me with nothing but suspicion. I took half a step back on instinct. Nicholas frowned and strode into the room, shutting the door behind him. The space was already small. His presence made it suffocating.
You're avoiding me.
It wasn't a question. He stepped closer. His alpha aura was railed in, but the pressure that lingered still made it hard to breathe.
Is it because of last night? Or because of me and Leah?
I forced myself to meet his eyes, keeping my voice as steady as I could.
Neither. I'm genuinely happy for you both.
He let out a low, humorless laugh and suddenly reached out, tilting my chin up, so I had no choice but to look at him.
Genuinely? Alice, did you forget what you did at the full moon gathering on your coming of age? You pinned your brooch to my coat, a courting gesture. You think I didn't notice? It was smart of you not to confess outright because I would have rejected you on. An Omega, no matter how capable, could never be the Alpha's mate.
He let go and glanced around my room. His gaze landed on the wooden box on my desk. He walked over and opened it without hesitation. Inside were all the little things I'd collected over the years. Things tied to him. The tip of a deer antler he'd given me after a hunt. A button that had fallen off one of his old shirts. Even a broken pen I'd pestered him for until he gave in. Nicholas flipped the box over, letting everything spill onto the carpet. Then he ground one of the pieces under the toe of his boot.
Alice, I thought you were the most sensible one in this pack. But these feelings you've been holding on to? Pathetic. You know my mate will be someone strong. Leah is the one I need, and yet you're still hoarding these scraps like they mean something. It's sad. You realize that, don't you?
He turned and left. The oak door clicked shut softly behind him. I crouched down and picked up the scattered items, one by one. Then I threw them all into the fireplace. They were broken anyway. No point keeping them. And the feelings I shouldn't have had? Time to kill those too. 3 days later, I came back from gathering herbs in the forest and found that someone had been in my room. The blanket my mother left me was gone. In its place was an ordinary wool throw. I was about to ask the servants when I overheard them whispering in the hallway.
The Alpha really dopes on Miss Leah. One word from her and he took that beautiful blanket right off Miss Alice's bed.
So that's what happened. I was about to go back to sorting my herbs when the door opened. Nicholas stood in the doorway, his tone matter of fact.
Leah's wolf has been unstable lately. Moon silk has a calming effect on her, so I gave her the blanket. If you need one, you can have the butler order another wool throw.
I kept my back to him and continued organizing the herbs I'd brought back. I hummed in acknowledgement. His footsteps drew closer. He stopped right behind me.
Alice, you've been too quiet lately.
His voice dropped, carrying a note of warning.
Leah may already be carrying my heir. If you do anything you shouldn't, you know what the consequences will be.
I finally turned around and met his eyes. Alpha, I don't have any appropriate thoughts. I've simply come to understand my place. You've always wanted me to know my limits as an Omega. Now I do. You should be satisfied. Nicholas's lips pressed into a thin line. His throat bobbed. After a long pause, he forced out one word.
Good.
Then he turned and left. In the past, when he walked away angry like that, I would have chased after him. I would have explained, apologized, done anything to make him stop being upset. Not anymore. 3 days later, I submitted a petition to the Council of Elders to live independently. As an adult member of the pack, I had the right to leave the territory and live on my own. The request was approved quickly, especially after Leah hinted that my presence in the castle might affect her pregnancy. The council stamped it without hesitation. I bought an old house with a garden in a small town near a human city down south. The climate was warm. Herbs grew in abundance. It was quiet enough for me to live in peace. I set my departure date for the same day as Nicholas and Leah's mocking ceremony.
Nicholas, I wish you and Leah a lifetime of happiness. From now on, you and I will never see each other again.
The day Leah's pregnancy was announced, I lost access to the West Wing. No formal notice, no explanation. I was taking inventory in the apothecary when I noticed that several calming herbs I used regularly had been marked with red seals. I reached for them, but the guard on duty stopped me.
Sorry, Miss Alice. You're not permitted to use these.
I froze. These are part of my formulas. The guard just repeated himself.
Alpha's orders.
That's when it truly hit me. I no longer had a place in this pack. That afternoon, I was summoned to the main hall. Nicholas stood at the desk, flipping through a ledger. I stood there for a long time before he finally looked up.
You've been moving assets around?
I nodded. Nicholas pressed his lips together. After a pause, he said,
You've been using funds from the herb revenue your mother left you. That was registered with the pack.
I frowned.
I have the right to use it!
He corrected me.
You used to. Not anymore.
My head snapped up.
What does that mean?
Nicholas closed the ledger and looked at me. That look didn't seem like looking at a living person. It was more like dealing with a piece of trash that he couldn't figure out where to throw away.
Leah is pregnant. She needs a stable environment, and your recent behavior makes it hard not to read into things.
I suddenly understood. It wasn't that I'd done something wrong. It was that I was still here at all. His tone grew colder.
Alice, you're being irrational. You've always had a skewed sense of where you stand.
My throat tightened.
I never...
You have.
He cut me off.
You've always thought you had some kind of special place with me. But the truth is, you were just convenient. You stayed out of the way.
The words hit like an axe to the chest.
Things are different now. Leah is carrying my pup. I won't tolerate anyone who might upset her.
He looked at me, voice deliberate.
Including you.
The air went cold. He let out a sharp, humorless laugh.
Do you think if you leave, I'll regret it? Is that what this is?
My fingers clenched. That's not what I'm thinking.
Then what do you want?
He stood and stepped closer.
You want me to abandon Leah while she's pregnant? Or do you want me to let your little drama ruin her emotional state right before the ceremony?
His voice wasn't loud, but every word pressed down on me.
Everything you're doing right now, it all points to one thing. You're trying to force me to choose between you and Leah.
My throat felt dry.
But that choice never existed in the first place.
His words cut slow and deep, like a dull blade carving into me.
Alice, you should know better than anyone. The only reason you're still standing here is because you've always known your place, not because you matter.
I stood frozen. He looked at me, as if checking to make sure I understood.
I let you stay out of duty and order, not affection. So what you're doing now just tells me one thing.
He paused, and his tone turned ice cold.
You're getting out of line.
My fingers trembled. Even though I'd already decided to leave him for good, having him strip away my very existence like this, it still hurt so much I could barely breathe. I heard myself speak, my voice eerily calm.
So I should disappear. Is that it?
Nicholas hesitated, then looked away with a frown.
Enough with the tantrum. Go back to your room and stay put for a few days.
I let out a cold laugh and walked out. Good thing I'd already made plans to leave. The next day when I was called to the infirmary, the first thing I saw was Nicholas's back. He was stacked against the headboard, pale but unable to hide the smugness in her eyes. Additionally, she should avoid stress for the time being. Every time the healer spoke, his eyes flicked instinctively.
Everything is to prioritize Leah.
She blinked, as if just realizing I was there, then gave a perfectly timed smile.
So I asked him to call you. I hope I'm not interrupting?
Leah hummed softly, as if thinking.
And if I smell anything unfamiliar, it makes me uncomfortable.
Her gaze drifted back to me.
I'm probably just being sensitive.
Just... Leah's expression faltered for half a second. All the vulnerability and distress she'd prepared went to waste. But she recovered quickly and let out a soft laugh. She leaned in closer, lowering her voice.
Did you think I called you here to upset you?
No.
I just wanted you to see it for yourself now, and I didn't have to do a thing.
Nicholas stroked her hair and glanced at the healer.
Is the exam done?
The healer nodded immediately. Yes, Alpha. Nicholas finally looked at me. His gaze lingered on my face for a moment. He seemed like he wanted to say something, but it took him a while to get it out.
Leah needs rest. From now on, try not to appear in front of her.
I nodded.
Don't worry. I understand.
When I walked out of the castle with my luggage, my heart was strangely calm. I wasn't going to look back. On the day of the marking ceremony, Nicholas ordered extra guards stationed near the west wing. He didn't say it outright, but everyone understood. Today was Leah's most important day. No disruptions could be allowed, especially not from Alice. Her recent silence was too unusual. Nicholas didn't believe she'd calmly watch him bond with someone else. Before heading to the ceremony grounds, his eyes swept over the crowd without thinking. He didn't see her. For a moment he felt relief. Then, just as quickly, an uncomfortable hollowness followed. He brushed it off. Just nerves before the ceremony. That's all. Once the ceremony began, he focused entirely on Leah. She stood at his side, smiling brightly, her arm wrapped affectionately around his. Everything went perfectly. When it ended, cheers erupted from the pack members. Nicholas stood at the center. He should have felt satisfied, but in that moment, a thought flickered through his mind.
Alice really didn't come. The realization made his chest tight slightly. He shoved it down.
Wasn't it better that she didn't show up? This was how it should be. Still, Nicholas couldn't stop himself from remembering the way her eyes used to glisten with unshed tears. Back at the main hall, he asked casually.
Was there any activity in the West Wing today?
The butler hesitated before answering quietly.
No, Alpha. Miss Alice has left the territory.
Nicholas's fingers stilled.
Left?
Yes, Miss Alice departed early this morning. She took all her belongings.
After a brief flicker of alarm, Nicholas's expression smoothed over.
I see.
She was just throwing a tantrum. She always did this, outwardly compliant but privately dramatic in her protests. Leaving the pack was just her way of playing hard to get, trying to make him regret it. Once she cooled off, she'd come back. This was the only place she'd ever known. Where else could she go? The thought settled his mind. In the days that followed, the main hall felt unusually quiet. No one tiptoed around him anymore, trying to please him. No one avoided him while sneaking glances when they thought he wasn't looking. Everything had returned to normal. The annoying shadow was gone. The woman he loved was now his mate. Only sometimes, late at night when he was working, he'd feel like something was missing. But the feeling came and went quickly. Her images in his dreams. Hollow. Until the third time the curse backlashed. That night, he was reviewing documents from the council when his mental energy suddenly destabilized. His heart raced. His head felt like it was splitting open. He frowned and spoke without thinking.
Alice.
No answer. It should have been normal. For years, whenever his mental state wavered even slightly, Alice had always noticed first. She'd handle it in exactly the right way. But now, there was no one. Nicholas pressed his fingers to his temples, forcing down the discomfort. A moment later, a servant brought him a remedy. Nicholas took one sniff and his frown deepened. It smelled wrong.
Who made this?
He asked coldly. The servant hesitated. Luna suggested adjusting the ratio. Nicholas went still. Leah had been unusually Nicholas lifted the vial and drank it in one go. A few minutes later, the remedy kicked in and made everything worse. He shot to his feet. The discomfort in his chest amplified, his mental energy tearing at itself like shredded cloth.
Get out!
The servant fled. Nicholas stood there, breathing hard. In that moment, the person who came to mind wasn't Leah. It was Alice. She would never make a mistake this careless. She never worked on instinct. She double-checked everything. She tested formulas dozens of times in secret before ever giving them to him. The reliability he'd once taken for granted now felt impossibly precious. There was a knock at the door. Nicholas instinctively stepped back. Leah froze.
I'm just trying to help.
Her voice wavered, hurt creeping in.
Alice used to do this too.
You changed the formula.
Leah bit her lip. Said it like it was obvious.
Take over.
Nicholas's hands slowly curled into fists.
This is what you came up with?
Leah's voice rose.
Are you blaming me? I did this for you, for our pup.
Only worsened his already frayed mental state. For the first time, he saw it clearly. Alice never caused him trouble. Not once.
Get out.
His voice was low and hard. Leah stared at him.
You're telling me to leave?
She stood frozen, eyes filling with tears. Back a step, voice shaking.
You're comparing me to her, aren't you?
Nicholas closed his eyes.
You shouldn't have touched her things.
Eddie. The moment the door shut, Nicholas' knees buckled. He dropped to one knee. The thought came reflexively, unbidden. If it were Alice, what would she do? Once it surfaced, he couldn't push it back down. The next morning, he finally gave the order.
Find out where Alice went.
The guard hesitated, then nodded. The moment the words left his mouth, Nicholas felt something loosen in his chest. He told himself it was just precautionary. She was still part of the pack. She shouldn't be out of his sight. As for the unease gnawing at him, he chose to ignore it. The southern town was quieter than I'd imagined. When I moved my medicine cabinet into the house, neighbors gathered at the door, curious about the outsider who just arrived. The first week, I barely left home. I just stayed inside and did things I enjoyed. The peace of it let me sleep properly for the first time in ages. By the second week, someone knocked. It was a human man from town. His name was Paul. His arm had been clawed by a wild animal. He hadn't treated it in time, and it was already inflamed and festering. I cleaned the wound without saying much, but the way he looked at me started to change. Warmer, more intent.
You're not from around here. Do you like it here?
I smiled faintly.
It's quiet. I like it.
After that, more people started coming. Headaches, old injuries, children. Paul came by almost every day. Sometimes he'd bring bread. Sometimes he'd fix my door. Occasionally, he'd stand outside the garden, like he was debating whether to come in.
That evening, he showed up with a bouquet of flowers, looking a little awkward.
I'm not trying to bother you. I just thought, you're here alone. Maybe you're lonely.
I paused. That word felt foreign to me now.
I took the flowers, my tone polite.
Thank you. But I'm not lonely.
Paul looked a little disappointed, but he still smiled.
At least let me buy you tea sometime.
I was about to refuse when I felt it. An unmistakable, oppressive aura.
I looked up and saw Nicholas,
who stood across the street, wearing a black coat, completely out of place against the quiet town backdrop. His eyes were locked on the flowers in my hand. His expression was ice cold. My heart sank. I reacted immediately. Paul, now's not a good time. You should go. Paul blinked, then followed my gaze.
That man.
It's fine. I cut him off, my voice gentle but firm. I'll reach out to you later. Paul clearly sensed something was wrong, but he didn't press. He just nodded.
Stay safe.
I watched him disappear around the corner before slowly closing the gate. Once I was sure no one else was around, I turned. Nicholas was already standing in front of me. His gaze was frigid.
So this is why you left the pack? To run around with a human?
I didn't take the bait. I just looked at him calmly. You shouldn't have come here. That clearly set him off.
If I hadn't come, were you planning to just stay here?
His tone dripped with sarcasm. I looked at him, exasperated, and used his name for the first time. Nicholas, this is a human town. You almost exposed yourself just now. He let out a sharp laugh.
You're defending him? A human. How do you even know if he's trustworthy? When did your judgment get this bad?
I stared at him, suddenly finding the whole thing absurd. At least he doesn't question whether I'm worth existing. His face darkened instantly.
So you left the pack for this? This life?
Yes. I answered without hesitation. He went silent for a few seconds. Then his voice dropped.
Come back with me.
It didn't sound like an order. It sounded almost pleading. But all I felt was tired. I am not part of the Dark Moon Pack anymore. You coming to find me now? We're too late. Nicholas's throat bobbed.
Alice, don't forget who you are.
I looked at him and slowly shook my head. I remember exactly who I am. That's why I'm not going back. Nicholas didn't leave right away.
He stood at the end of the street,
as if waiting for me to change my mind. I didn't look back. Once I was inside, I shut the door. But not long after, the phone rang,
shrill and intrusive.
It was Leah.
Her emotions were all over the place,
laced with possessedness and panic.
Alice?
Her voice came through the receiver, frantic and unstable.
Did the Alpha go see you?
I didn't answer. I could already picture the twisted look on her face.
She kept going, shouting into the phone. I was about to hang up when she suddenly raised her voice, practically screaming.
Do you think he'll regret it just because you left?
The insult didn't sting. I finally spoke, my tone calm. Leah, you don't need to assume I did anything. She went quiet for a beat. If you're feeling insecure, the problem is with you. Or him, not me.
I heard her breathing sharply on the other end.
Then she hung up. I barely had a moment to breathe before there was a knock at the door. Heavy, aggressive, each one louder than the last. I opened it. Nicholas stood there, his face dark, emotions barely restrained.
What did you say to her?
I kept my tone flat. None of your business. This isn't your territory. You don't get to give orders here. He stepped forward. His alpha aura leaked out, an instinctive force that made people want to retreat.
You're provoking me.
I steadied myself and met his eyes. I'm rejecting you. Can't you tell the difference?
Nicholas's breathing turned uneven.
You think this is better? Living with humans. Treating their ailments for scraps of gratitude?
He let out a cold laugh.
Alice, when did you become so pathetic?
That finally cracked my composure.
Not with anger, with complete disappointment. I spoke slowly. You know what? Every word you're saying right now just proves I was right to leave. He froze. You've never actually seen me. You only see what you need. When you need me, I'm allowed to exist. Otherwise, I'm meaningless to you. I looked at him, enunciating every word. But I'm not a tool.
Nicholas's face went pale.
He opened his mouth, but no rebuttal came.
Come back with me.
This time, his voice was quieter.
I'll fix everything.
I let out a short, humorless laugh. You can't. I stepped back, ready to close the door. He instinctively reached out, blocking the frame.
Alice.
My voice went cold. Don't call me that way anymore. We have no relationship left. Maybe I had feelings for you once. But the moment you hurt me over and over again, those feelings died.
Nicholas's hand went rigid.
For the first time, real panic flickered in his eyes.
But I was done waiting for him to catch up.
Mornings in the small town always came early. I'd just brought in the herbs I'd left drying overnight, when I heard hurried footsteps from the street. It was the innkeeper. Her face was pale, and she was practically running.
Alice, there's been an accident at the docks.
My stomach dropped. I grabbed my medicine kit and followed her. A young sailor had collapsed. His lips were purple, his breathing erratic and shallow. The crowd kept their distance, afraid to get too close. I quickly identified it as mixed herb poisoning. If left untreated, it would damage his heart and lungs within 2 hours.
Everyone back. Keep the air flowing. Paul, help me hold him down.
Paul hesitated for only a second before doing exactly as I asked. No questions.
His hands were steady. I worked quickly, mixing the remedy while calmly directing the people around me.
I'd done this too many times to count.
It was almost automatic now. When I got the antidote into him,
The sailor's convulsions started to ease.
a low murmur of relief spread through the crowd. Some people exhaled in relief. Others began quietly thanking me. Paul looked at me, his expression complicated, filled with genuine respect.
You saved him. If you hadn't been here, we would just watched him die.
I closed my kit, my tone even. I just did what needed to be done. As I said it, something clicked. Here, I didn't need to be anyone. Not the Alpha's shadow, not someone's replacement. Just myself. Not long after I got home, the sky darkened. It wasn't normal storm clouds. It was a mental pressure. Heavy, oppressive, creeping closer from a distance. I stood by the window. I didn't turn around. I already knew who it was. Nicholas stood outside, but he didn't knock. Finally, he spoke, his voice rough.
I heard about what happened at the docks. You saved someone.
I didn't deny it.
You used to be like that too. No matter how dangerous it was, if someone needed you, you'd step up.
I turned to face him. Back then, I didn't have a choice. Now I do it because I want to. That silenced him for a long time.
The pack is falling apart. No one understands medicine the way you do. The council is pressuring me.
I didn't react.
They want me to bring you back.
For the first time, his voice carried hesitation. I let out a quiet, bitter laugh. See? Even now, it's not me you need. It's what I can do. Nicholas's fists slowly clenched.
I need you!
The moment he said it, he seemed to held his breath, like he was waiting for a verdict. I looked at him for a long time.
Long enough that the hope in his eyes started to crumble.
But I don't need you anymore.
The words came out flat. No emotion. Nicholas's face went white. His eyes reddened, and for the first time, I saw him on the verge of breaking.
I don't know how to keep going without you.
The words were barely a whisper, like the desperate plea of someone who'd lost their footing. I looked at him, but inside, I felt nothing but calm.
That's your problem, not mine.
I stepped back, hand on the doorframe.
That's your problem, not mine.
Nicholas's head snapped up, like something had struck him hard. I closed the door. People always pay for their choices. In my past life, I did. In this one, it's his turn. Manage. After I left, someone else had been hastily put in charge.
Several of the plants were in their most volatile stage.
I could have stayed away. Logic told me it wasn't my responsibility. But that night, sitting by the window, I thought through every possible outcome. If I didn't go back, the apothecary would be left in chaos. The next accident might claim more than just one child. I didn't owe anyone anything, but I couldn't let myself ignore a risk I knew was there. So I went back. For 3 days. That was my limit. When I stepped back onto Dark Moon territory, I felt no sense of belonging. Only distance. Nicholas was waiting for me at the bottom of the stairs. He looked thinner, eyes bloodshot.
You came back.
His voice was tight. I cut him off. I'm only staying 3 days. He nodded quickly, like he was afraid I'd change my mind. Leah saw me on the second day. She was wrapped in a heavy blanket, leaning against the corridor railing. She looked more haggard than I had expected, completely drained. When she saw me, her first reaction wasn't anger. It was shock.
What are you doing here? Did you come to gloat?
I stood at a comfortable distance. I didn't answer. She was quiet for a long time, staring down at her pale hands. Then she let out a short, hollow laugh.
Ironic, isn't it? The thing I fought so hard to keep, I lost it because of you.
I said nothing. She looked up at me. For the first time, there was no smugness in her eyes, just exhaustion and resentment.
Are you happy now? Seeing me like this? I answered quickly.
I never wanted to hurt you. I left because staying was exhausting. That's all.
Her voice started to tremble. Tears swelled in her eyes.
So you're satisfied now that I've ended up like this?
I looked at her.
Satisfied with what? The baby's gone.
She lifted her head, eyes red but refusing to cry.
Everyone says it's because my body was too weak, that I wasn't worthy of carrying the Alpha's bloodline.
Her gaze sharpened.
But I know, if you hadn't left, none of this would have happened.
I looked at her calmly. Leah, have you ever considered that even if I'd stayed, it wouldn't have changed anything?
The words pierced her last shred of pride.
She shot to her feet, then staggered. Someone caught her. Nicholas was standing in the corridor. I hadn't noticed when he'd arrived. His eyes moved between me and Leah. His expression was grim.
Enough.
Leah stared at him. Are you protecting her? Or regretting it?
The air froze. Nicholas didn't answer right away, but that brief hesitation was the cruelest answer of all. Leah laughed, sharp, almost hysterical.
I understand now.
She turned and left, her steps hurried and unsteady.
The hallway went quiet, just me and Nicholas. He stood there for a long time without speaking. Finally, he closed his eyes, voice rough.
I regret it, Alice. I'll break the mate bond with her. Just stay.
I looked at him and felt unfamiliar. This Alpha, who once valued duty and bloodline above all else, was now dismantling everything he'd stood for.
And the heir. If you think that is a burden, I'll give it up.
I was silent for a moment. Nicholas, you're not doing this for me. You're doing it to ease your own guilt. His face went completely pale. My voice was soft, but in the quiet hall, it carried clearly.
I've already moved on.
But you're still stuck in the same place. On the morning of the 3rd day, I packed my things. Leah didn't come to see me off. Nicholas stood at the pack's entrance and watched me leave. I went back to my little house and opened a small apothecary. I did what I loved. I didn't live to please anyone, just my own life. And the Alpha of the Dark Moon Pack stayed on his throne, haunted by someone who would never come back, lost in endless nights of regret.